Columbia Metropolitan Airport in West Columbia. And as you can see, the Beast has just come into position. The Beast has now parked. We can see the wheels have stopped. We are waiting for the doors to open as President Joe Biden gets out of the vehicle and boards Air Force One as he gets ready to leave Columbia. Yet now, you know, this was a long day for the president. He arrived shortly after 8:30 this morning. It was a foggy, misty morning when the president arrived here this morning. But as you can see, the weather has cleared. We can see the sun just a little bit, and it is still cloudy, but we are seeing some dry time here finally in Columbia. But we are waiting for the president to get out of what they call the Beast, the limousine that's right here at the center of your screen, and then we're waiting for him to ascend the steps. We don't know if he's going to come and talk to local media. He did not do that when he got here to Columbia. He did stop over to greet some of the people in the community, but we do see the doors are now open. I see President Biden chatting with someone, and now the president is out of the Beast right now. He is out of the limousine. He is back on the tarmac here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport. We see him walking towards the steps of the plane. Let's see if he takes any questions from the press pool. Of course, the president travels with a national press pool. They were with him at South Carolina State University as he was giving the commencement address. But we see President Joe Biden. You are looking at a live shot of the president ascending Air Force One right now as he gets ready to leave Columbia. Let's take a look at this shot for just a moment. All right, we see President Biden turning around right now. We see the president waving. He's waving to us, the local media here. The president just gave me a thumbs up. I was waving to him, gave him a thumbs up. The president is now entering the cabin of Air Force One as he gets ready to leave the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. So after several hours here in Columbia, again arriving around 8:30 this morning, the president now, let me take a look at my watch, 1:39, and the President Joe Biden is safely aboard Air Force One. Now we are watching the rest of the White House press pool. They are getting ready to board Air Force One for the departure as they get ready to leave Columbia and head to Philadelphia. We see some of the military personnel that travel with the president too as well. Some of the military aides, they are leaving as well. Now, when President Biden first arrived here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport around 8:30 this morning, there was a contingency of delegates that were here to greet him, including the mayor of West Columbia, Tim Miles. We also had Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin, and also 6th District Congressman James Clyburn. He was here to greet the president as he arrived this morning. Now, we did not see Governor Henry McMaster. We did not see him here, but we did see Jim Clyburn. And again, President Biden, for those of you that are just tuning in, if you haven't been watching our coverage, our extensive coverage here on News 19 throughout the morning, President Biden was here to give the commencement address, to receive an award, and also to give Congressman James Clyburn his diploma. The congressman graduated 60 years ago, but was never able to walk just because of different circumstances. So he was able to get his diploma to walk across the stage with the class of 2021. And as you watch that here on WLTX, it was quite a moment to see. Now we are watching some of the access vehicles. They are now leaving. Again, we are seeing the rest of the Secret Service get on the plane. We are now hearing the engines. The engines are starting to roar. So it looks like the president is going to be taking off here momentarily, leaving Columbia, again heading to Philadelphia, and then I think he's going to be heading back down to Delaware, where he's going to be spending the weekend, the last weekend before Christmas. So again, this was an honor for the Palmetto State to have the President of the United States here in our capital city, here in Columbia. This was the first time that President Joe Biden made the trip as sitting president since he was sworn into office. You know, he's been here several times, him and Congressman James Clyburn. They have an extensive friendship. They served in Congress for about a decade together, so their friendship runs deep. But as you can see live right here, if our photojournalist will pan over, we see the plane. The door has now shut on the plane. We see the stairs are now moving backwards, and we are about to watch Air Force One take off from Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Darcy, it has been quite a day here in Columbia. A lot going on in the capital city.
Absolutely, Brandon, absolutely. And the coverage that you all have been giving us from out there in the field has been incredible, regardless of your political party. Anytime the President of the United States is in your city, it is definitely something that should be considered a big deal. So as you mentioned, the president, the press pool, his contingency all now on board Air Force One, just moments away from takeoff. The next stop on the agenda for the president, as Brandon just mentioned moments ago, will be Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then from there, Wilmington, Delaware. The president giving remarks at the 2021 graduation for South Carolina State University students. He touched on a number of things, but he wanted to speak to the students specifically at South Carolina State about the importance of HBCUs, what historically black colleges and universities mean not only to the president, but to the nation as a whole. Part of the reason why Congressman Clyburn was able to receive his diploma today is that because 60 years ago when he graduated, South Carolina State University under law was only able to have a spring commencement. The legislature in South Carolina would not allow the school to have a fall and a spring commencement. So when Congressman Clyburn completed his coursework in December, he didn't march. But today, he did exactly what he's been waiting for almost 60 years. Congressman Clyburn even given the opportunity to offer comments to the students today, to the graduating class. And one of the things that he stressed to the students is never give up. Never give up. His life a shining example of why that is so important. But back to more about what the president had to say to this graduating class of Bulldogs. Not only did he stress the importance of HBCUs, saying you have to look no further than the Vice President of the United States, who is a Howard University grad, to understand why this is important, but he also talked about the importance of voting. When I spoke to the president earlier this week in an exclusive interview you saw only here on WLTX, he told me that the reason why he even went into politics is because he knew the importance of voting to the nation. You may notice that the president is wearing something around his neck in this video, and that is because he received an honorary doctorate degree of humane letters from South Carolina State University. So when you look at the resume of Joe Biden, who has now been conferred as Dr. Joe Biden, you know that he can add to his list of accomplishments in education the doctorate from South Carolina State University. But we are watching Air Force One as it begins to move down, starts to taxi, begins to move down the tarmac on its way leaving Columbia, South Carolina. We're at Eagle Aviation right outside of the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. And again, this will be one of those things that so many people will remember, specifically the graduating class of 2021 at South Carolina State University. For anyone who has a college degree, you know how special that day is. And many of you probably have forgotten who your commencement speaker was that day, but I would venture to say that the students at SCSU who graduated today will never forget the words of the President of the United States. As a matter of fact, Congressman Clyburn told me earlier this week when I spoke to him that if everything pans out in the history books as they have looked at it, there has never been a sitting president to give the commencement speech, the graduation charge, to students at South Carolina State University. So a historical day for those graduates. Again, Brandon Taylor there live watching as Air Force One begins to taxi and prepares to leave Columbia. Brandon, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing?
Yeah, Darcy, I can hear you a little bit better now that that the plane is now making its way to the runway. But things are quiet here now. There was an electric feeling in the air earlier this morning as the plane was landing kind of in a blanket of fog. But as you can see, Air Force One is making its way now to the runway as it gets ready to take off. And a fun time during these takeoffs and arrivals of Air Force One. If you are in the Lexington, West Columbia, Casey area, if you are in your neighborhood right now, if you're watching us online or watching us on air, if you go into your backyard, you may be able to see this plane as it gets ready to take off. And this is a sight that we don't normally get to see here in Columbia. We see it ever so often, but it is something to be seen. So again, if you are at home, if you're watching us right now and you're in the Columbia, West Columbia, Lexington, Casey area, you might just get a glimpse of this behemoth of a plane as it gets ready to take off. This is a Boeing 747. It has 4 engines on it. Any plane that the president gets on is then qualified as Air Force One, but we are familiar with the iconic Boeing 747, which is the plane that the president travels on the most as he travels internationally and travels domestically too as well. But again, the president arrived about 8:30 this morning here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport, Eagle Aviation, and got back to the airport around 1:30, so about 10 minutes ago. So it was a quick trip. Originally, we were expecting the president to take Marine One to helicopter over to Orangeburg. But again, because of the weather that we had earlier this morning, that was not the case. So, you know, he took a little drive. He was able to see the beautiful scenic routes here of South Carolina. He was able to see some of our beautiful landscapes here in the Palmetto State. So we're not ashamed of that. We're always excited to have a sitting president in town. But again, Darcy, this momentous occasion to have a sitting president here in Columbia, in Orangeburg, to be speaking at this graduation. And as you mentioned, we all remember what it was like to walk across the stage, the nerves, the jitters, but this is a moment these 138 students are going to remember, and an exciting time in their life as they get ready to embark on their next chapter, get ready to embark on their next journey in life. So an exciting time for so many people here in the Palmetto State, so many of us here in the Midlands. But again, we are watching Air Force One, a live view of Air Force One, and as it is making that turn, and we are expecting it to take off momentarily, and as we do get ready for that plane to take off, as the engines again begin to roar, I'll step back so you can hear it, because it is really something to see and something to hear as well. But again, the iconic blue and white, and then that teal color 747, this plane that has become so iconic that so many people are familiar with. But Joe Biden spent about 5 hours here in the Palmetto State, here in South Carolina on this Friday. Again, it started out as a cloudy, foggy day, but things have kind of cleared up, seeing a little bit of sunshine here as the clouds are moving away. So it should be an easy takeoff as the president is getting ready to take off from Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Now, a lot of people may be wondering, well, what happens when the president comes in and out of the airport? Well, when he gets ready to take off, all other flights are grounded. So if you are looking for somebody, you're looking to pick somebody up at CAE right now, or if you're watching us, maybe streaming us on the WLTX mobile app right now, your flight may be a little bit delayed for just a few moments, just because we are waiting for the commander-in-chief. We were waiting for clearance from Air Force One as it gets ready to take off from this airport. But again, it's not so bad right now. A few kind of cloudy right now, but I can see some blue skies and some sunshine. I don't want to mess up the forecast too much, because I know our meteorologists will get on me, especially meteorologist Alex Calamia, for giving wrong information. But it's been a good day here in the capital city. And again, watching the remarks from the president and from Congressman James Clyburn and all the other dignitaries who spoke today and spoke about how important this is, how important having the president here, and for President Biden, because you remember it was Jim Clyburn, Congressman Clyburn, that was so influential and endorsing President Biden and throwing his support behind President Biden. So again, we're out here. We're just waiting for Air Force One as it gets ready to take off here from the runway at Columbia Metropolitan Airport. It's about 1:50 on a Friday afternoon, and it looks like what we're doing is we're waiting for a plane to land. So that's what it looks like we're doing. We're waiting for this plane to land. Who's holding up the president? I don't know who this is. Could be one of these UPS planes. We've seen a lot of UPS flights coming in. Hopefully they're bringing some of your Christmas presents. We know there's been a lot of shipping delays, so hopefully this is a UPS flight, or maybe even a FedEx flight that is coming in right now, bringing some Christmas gifts. But again, as soon as this plane lands and taxis and gets out the way, I will then be expecting Air Force One to get ready to take off. But again, we're watching. Oh, okay. It looks like an American Airlines plane. All right. Welcome to Columbia. Glad to see you. The time right now is 1:50. The temperature is 68 degrees as this American Airlines jet lands at Columbia Metropolitan Airport. But again, we are waiting for Air Force One as it is getting ready to take off once it gets clearance from the tower there. But Darcy, let me bring you in for a little bit. Let's chat for a little bit. What was something that you took away from today's momentous occasion here in the Palmetto State?
Just the excitement of the graduates, just seeing their face as each one of them walked up on the stage, just the excitement of that alone. But to walk up on the stage, to have your degree, and to be standing next to two of the most powerful men in the country, the President of the United States and House Majority Whip James Clyburn, who both are now technically graduates of South Carolina State University. Just the excitement of watching the graduates. And Brandon, to talk just a bit about that plane that was landing ahead of the president taking off. Imagine being the pilot that's holding up Air Force One. I just don't even understand how that just happened. But, you know, stranger things have happened in politics, I guess we could say. But we know that the president had a change of plans. Initially, he was supposed to fly from Columbia to Orangeburg on Marine One. But there was so much fog in the area that it was obviously not going to be a safe route to take. And so that's how we shifted from planning to see the president and Congressman Clyburn on Marine One, the helicopter, to seeing them be a part of the motorcade. But again, Brandon, you're there live at the airport. And I'm still jaw dropped over the fact that a plane landed before Air Force One could take off.
You should see the people here in the media area. We're all looking around like, where did that plane come from? Who is on that plane? What is going on? But again, we're happy to welcome any and everybody to the Columbia metropolitan area. So again, we saw that commuter plane that just landed just a few minutes ago. But now I finally hear the engines starting up a little bit. I finally see a little bit of movement. So it does look like the 747 Air Force One has gotten clearance, has received clearance from the tower here at Eagle Aviation, and is making its way to the runway. And again, once this plane takes off, if you live over here near the airport, if you live in the KC area, Lexington, West Columbia area, look to the sky. Look to the sky for just a moment. Grab your children, grab your grandchildren, grab your husband, grab your wife, grab your spouse, just to take a look. Because regardless of your political beliefs, regardless of who you voted for, it's still a moment to see this aircraft here in our state and in our community, in a place that we call home. But again, we see live look right now as President Joe Biden, as Air Force One is getting ready to taxi. It's getting ready to take off. I hear the engines. The engines are starting to ramp up a little bit. Let's take a moment. Let's listen to this. Oh, quite a moment. Quite a moment. And there you have it, my friends. 1:54 on a Friday afternoon, President Joe Biden has taken off from Columbia Metropolitan Airport after spending several hours here attending the commencement ceremony at South Carolina State University alongside Congressman Jim Clyburn. Quite a day. We've had extensive coverage throughout the day here on WLTX.com, as well as News 19, also on our mobile app. And we're going to have coverage throughout the day. We still have teams that are in Orangeburg gathering sound, gathering information from what happened there too as well. And of course, we're going to have that for you throughout the day here on WLTX, on News 19. But Darcy, here in the airport, Brandon Taylor, News 19 WLTX.
And thank you so much. Excellent coverage from you all in the field. Thank you so much. And again, that is going to wrap up our coverage this afternoon of President Joe Biden's visit to the Midlands as the commencement speaker, the 46th president of the United States, congratulating the 2021 graduates of South Carolina State University. Stay with News 19 for more of the president's visit to the Midlands tonight, starting with Friends at 5.
Just let